Good morning. My name is jgroppe, and I'm going to be speaking to you today on the application of computing in medical imaging. Now you may wonder, what is medical imaging? Well, medical imaging is a technique and process used to create images of the human body, or parts thereof, for clinical purposes, or medical science, anatomy, and physiology. Some common medical imaging procedures are tomographic scans. Now, tomographic scans are where a machine takes multiple slices of your body, multiple imaging slices of your body, and then reconstruct them to form a 3D medical image. There's also magnetic resonance imaging. Magnetic resonance imaging uses a strong magnetic field that is created by the molecules in your body to create an image as well. There's also nuclear medicine, which usually goes in conjunction with a tomographic scan, but a certain amount of radiopharmaceuticals, pharmaceuticals that have radioactive properties are injected into your blood, and so the scan can pick up definition better. Another common medical scan is the ultrasound, by which the machine sends high-frequency sound waves into your body and picks up the echo back. Now, a little bit of history about medical imaging. The first clinical image was produced by German physicist Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen in 1895 while he was doing research on cathode rays. He discovered that if he immobilized for some moments the hand of his wife in the path of the rays over a photographic plate, that it produced an image of the skeletal structure and the surrounding flesh. This was the first X-ray. Now, following that, there was exponential growth in the use of medical imaging in the field. In 1900, the widespread use of the chest X-ray made early detection and treatment of tuberculosis a reality. In 1945, coronary artery imaging allowed for better diagnosis of heart and arterial diseases. In 1955, dental X-rays were first used to check teeth development, possible decay, etc. In 1960, the ultrasound was developed and was used to look at the abdomen, kidneys, unborn babies, and carotid blood vessels in the heart. In 1970, X-ray mammography finds widespread application in the imaging of breast for possible cancer. And then finally, in 1972, with computed axial tomography, or the CAT scan, saw the first use of computers in medical imaging. Originally, with medical imaging, and even up to the point where computers were first used, there were many traditional problems, such as film costs. The film produced and used in medical imaging was very expensive, mostly due to the fact that one of the key components was silver. Storage costs. When you would go in for a medical X-ray or whatever scan you were going to have, multiple scans were taken, and each one had to be stored in its own case in the physical library, which was very expensive as well. There are many harmful manufacturing byproducts in producing the film. As an example, up near Brevard, North Carolina, there's a place called DuPont National Forest, which used to be owned by the DuPont Corporation and was used, they had a plant there to produce film used in medical imaging. It's been out of production for about a decade now, but still, an area within the national park is closed off because it's considered hazardous, as an example of the byproducts of the original medical imaging. Apparently, they used to have a lot of lost exams and redos in the field, which was a problem. And it was a very manual and labor-intensive workflow. When you would come to the doctor, you had to register the patient, hang the previous exams in the reading room, re-enter patient data before the exam. The exam was performed. The film had to be developed. There had to be quality assurance before the doctor could see the films. They had to hang the films for a period of time. The doctor examined the films and then dictated his diagnosis to a nurse or an assistant. This diagnosis was transcribed in the report and an approval was arranged. Then the films and report had to be sent to the referring physician, like the family doctor. The films were then retrieved from the referring physician, reassembled in the storage film jacket, and returned to the filing room. So as you can see, originally medical imaging was a very labor-intensive workflow. And so the major companies which manufactured the film using medical imaging saw the business potential in developing a solution to these problems. These original companies were Agfa Healthcare in Europe, Kodak, now Carestream in the United States, and Fujifilm in Asia. And this solution took the form of a computer system which reduced cost and increased quality and efficiency. And it was called a Picture Archiving and Communication System, also known as PACS. And the impact of this implementation had many benefits, including improved patient care, reduced healthcare costs, less invasive treatment options, more effective diagnosis, wider selection of procedures, and an increased range of care. And with PACS, the manual intensive workflow that you saw before was reduced to merely registering the patient on a computer system, performing the exam. The quality assurance was done on a client workstation on a computer. The physician examined the image and dictated a diagnosis report to a text-to-speech program, and he approved it, and the images were sent via the web to the referring physician. PACS breaks down the physical and time barriers associated with traditional film-based image retrieval, distribution, and display. And here is a diagram of how PACS works and the different parts. In the top right, you see the radiology information system. This is basically a database with pertinent patient information that was automated and used in hospitals or radiology clinics. Along the top, you see what are known as modalities, the actual scanners themselves. There's a central database workflow management server, which is really the core of the PACS system. There's online storage for web transfers, long-term storage disaster recovery. Client workstation is involved where the physician goes, looks at the images, and is reading, processing, now annotating the images and reporting. There's also the CD distribution system where you can have the images that were done to you put on a CD for yourself. And there's remote web users, such as the referring physician. Well, how it works is you come to the hospital, and the radiology information system already knows that Joshua Groppe is coming in today at 8 o'clock to have a scan. And so it sees this in the database, and it automatically sends orders and schedules to the workflow management server, which prefetches old exams and then sends them to a workstation for a pre-examination look by the physician. Then the modality work list is sent automatically from the radiology information system to the modalities. And a nurse would come up to one of the stations at modalities and see, all right, Joshua Groppe is here to have such and such scan done today. Once the scan is performed, the modalities automatically send this into the central database workflow management server, which is then automatically stored in long-term storage. And the new study is pushed to the client workstation where the doctor performs the examinations. He does his reading, processing, reporting. And now, with the use of computers and PACS systems, they can do annotations to images. So you don't have to go looking for the same thing again. As you can see in this image, the doctor put an annotation of an arrow pointing to a blood clot in the brain. This was not able to be done before without computers. And then once the doctor is done examining the image and the scans, the report is sent back to the radiology information system as well as back to the central database. And then the report is also sent automatically back to the central database and stored with the images. It is stored in long-term study, and an e-report is sent automatically to the referring physician. Naturally, there are very many job opportunities for computer science and computer information systems in the applications of computing in medical imaging. There are the radiology information systems applications. As you can see here, it's a complex database system that's automated and stores pertinent information about a patient, his name, address, all that stuff, as well as his schedule. And it's programmed so that it's automated to send information on the time of his arrival. There's the central PAC system themselves, which the doctors use at the stations to examine the images, make annotations. The programming involved here is database and storage, a lot of video processing, image compression algorithms. That's a really big thing to see how can we better store images in more efficient ways, as well as network communication. There's speech-to-text programs, which are used in every PAC system. The doctors have a microphone, and as they examine the image, they would say, oh, well, he broke his bone in this place, this place, this place, and it's into the report, the speech-to-text program. There are many advanced graphics coming out today in medical imaging, a very, very new development, such as 3D reconstruction of the inside. As you can see, this is a rib cage with the heart and blood vessels. And one of the common uses of this 3D imaging is to do a virtual colonoscopy. Colonoscopy isn't a very pleasant procedure, but they've developed this 3D colonoscopy so that you no longer have to have the invasive procedure, but on the computer, the doctor can now literally fly through a reconstructed image of your colon and can detect things like polyps. Companies which are hiring computer science, computer information students to do work in these fields are AGFA, healthcare, and all these companies in the United States, Carestream, Fujifilm, General Electric, and Siemens. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?